Hey there, how are you? Welcome to the Adventist Church Online Network. We're so excited that you've joined us here today. And if you've been paying any attention, you can see that Kent looks a little bit different today.
Yeah, I've just
fact,
shaved my beard a little bit and I've taken my
yeah,
glasses off. So, same
and
old
you've gotten a
Kent
little
though.
younger,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. Dare we say a little bit more handsome? I don't know. Kent,
Oh,
you and Kent can fight that out.
careful, my ego can only take so much, Rachel.
Well, I have to, butter you up so you're in a good mood for today's show. So,
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, well, look, yeah. So my name is Jesse. Guys, really, really great to join you. I'm just standing on the shoulders of Rachel and Kent today. So such an honor to be on this show with you guys today. So exciting.
yes, it's very exciting. And you know what? So exciting that we want to bring the whole team in. We love bringing the team in so you can see where all the magic happens. It happens with all of this team power that we have. So we love to bring on all of our reps from the different unions. They can join us here. Got Superstar Lindell, Big Man Victor, got Pete from TPUM, whose sound is always working beautifully, and Cameron, who's
Hey,
joining us here today as well.
hi. Nice
How are y'all
headphones,
doing
Cameron.
today?
Good.
Doing well?
Fantastic. Can't be better. If it was any
Yeah?
better, I would be seriously worried.
Well, you're saying that, but you're so calm as you're saying it. You're like, can't be better. If it were
Okay.
any better, I'd
There's
be
no
worried.
there's no energy there. I'm starting to
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
doubt
Because I have people around me, so I want to be also
Ah,
nice to, the environment. I'm in a lounge,
okay.
flying from
I was
one place back to Auckland. So,
I was about to say, Victor, you look like you're reclining in your third lounge room at your Swiss mansion. Looks beautiful.
mate, how did you know? How did you know? I'm actually sitting with a lot of other nice people there.
Ah.
Oh, good.
Love it. Love it. So we're all doing well this afternoon?
Yes,
Yeah.
All good?
I'm doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
All
good.
good.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, so good to have you all on. I thought one of the things that we could do to lean into where it is that we're going today, anybody can jump in. Victor is currently on a journey, but anybody wants to share. What's a great memory of a journey that you might want to share with us? What's a great memory you have of going on a road trip or an overseas trip? What's something that really, really stands out to you about a great journey that you've had?
Hmm. We'll go ladies first.
So I was just thinking about this the other day. The first ever, I love international long haul flights, and I know people will roll their eyes at me, but the first long haul international flight I went on was to the US when I was 17 by myself. And I got onto the plane. I thought, this is the best experience ever. They gave us like, I don't know what they call it. Rachel, you might help me out. Like root beer, like the cans
I
Oh,
of
was gonna say,
soda.
what, peanuts? Are peanuts the same
Yeah,
in Australia and New
pretzels.
Zealand?
They gave us pretzels. And then they put on like this big movie on the screen, right? I'm sitting in my chair thinking this is the greatest experience ever. And I was flying United Airlines. I didn't realize later till one of our trips to Europe flying Qatar how actually bad that trip had been, that airline travel had been. And I was just thinking, so many different plane trips, like a contrast of Qatar Airways versus flying United, like 10 years ago now or 12 years ago now, and the different experiences that you have. Because I'm thinking like the journey, often that's not the most enjoyable part, but it depends what kind of experience you have.
Hmm.
And now when I get into a plane, I've remembered United, and I appreciate when I fly Singapore or any of these other airlines, and you sit there and you get your little meal and you figure out what you're going to watch.
You're
And
high
I just
class
love
now.
that part.
You're high class now, Lindell.
Oh no, always economy. I don't even fly economy X. Like this is like cattle class. And I just think I love that, which is very unusual. I know most people hate long haul flights, but for me, I love that part of the trip.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just want to let our viewers know the reason why we're talking about journeys is because today we're going to be talking about the online journey that your visitors take when they come to any of your social media platforms. We're kind of exploring this idea of journeys and getting to know our team a little bit better. Who else wants to share?
Yeah. Well, we like traveling. Oh, sorry, Peter, go.
Last year was my first trip ever to Israel. I attended the GAIN conference. That's the first time I met Rachel. And,
Yeah, I saw you there. I
at the GAIN
remember
conference.
seeing you there.
Yeah, and it was the longest trip ever I took from Australia to Sydney to Qatar, which is a 15 hours flight,
Wow.
and then another 4 hours flight. It was hectic and it was really tiring. But when I reached there and we had a tour around Israel and saw where Jesus was born and the baptism place it was really a blessing to be part of the trip. It was a blessing to go around those places. Now we have COVID-19 and there's a lot of borders. Luckily, I've gone. It's a blessing.
You got just in time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now when reading the Bible, and I get to visualize what I see because I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing working in, getting involved in church and getting involved in this kind of ministry.
Awesome. We love having you as part of the team.
Yeah.
Victor,
with
Cameron?
our family, oh yeah,
No, Victor,
go
you can
ahead,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Cameron, go.
Okay.
Rachel said go.
No.
I obey.
Yeah. I was thinking of my second trip to the Middle East.
Ooh.
And this time we first landed in Iraq, and it was quite a long travel. And we happened to go at during the winter, and I was not expecting snow in the desert sand at the Middle East. Anyway, after 20 years, I went back. That was last year. And this is the second trip to the Middle East, and I was so surprised to find out almost in every buses or coach was a Wi-Fi service, and also on the flights, which we did not experience in the first the flights. That was in 2010. That was my first flight to Middle East, and we did not experience all those Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi service, and after 20 years, last year, I got a surprise of my life when even in the coach, you will receive the Wi-Fi service, and in the air, Wi-Fi service everywhere. So it makes it very easy.
I would
It's a
argue
big change in the journey.
I would argue that's excellent for people like me. It's like you got food, you got water and Wi-Fi. That's like a third necessity, right? Come on.
Yeah.
See, this is why long-haul flights are so great.
Yeah.
It's human rights is what they are.
What about you, Victor?
Yes, with our family, we like traveling, and what makes our travel fun is the boys like creating little like trips, so they know what's happening next, and they will plan every day. So tomorrow we are going, over there, but this last time when we were in San Diego just before the lockdown started in New Zealand, everything just went very chaotic, and so this whole plan that they had planned went out of the window. And we were like, okay, let's take, every day as it comes. And we went from the state to the state, like random, whichever state was open, we were exploring. And so it was like totally random. And the boys in the end, at first they said, no, we're gonna travel. We're gonna do all our 4 weeks or 3.5. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. And then 1 week, and they say, no, let's go home. It's no fun. And we packed up. So for us, it's more of I suppose, like knowing, the things that you will see, and looking forward to it. And then actually seeing it and then celebrating it and sharing, the memories and experiences.
I love that you all have brought this up, because you've talked about that journey and you've talked about the intentionality of trying to get to a destination. And I guess as a group, we chatted earlier this week, and we're really trying to shift thinking towards having people be more intentional in the online space and starting to think about journeys. So when we get people onto our platforms, what do we want them to do? And that's what we're going to be exploring today. How do we get people to go from point A all the way to point C or D or E or F, and like what are the steps that we're going to take them along the way on that journey? So that's what we're going to be exploring today. We're going to talk about intentionality, a little bit about internet culture, and I'm really excited you guys were able to pop on, share some experiences. We can get to know you a little bit better, and know your families a little bit better as well. So we're looking forward to catching up with you again next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
We'll see you later. So as we're talking about journeys today and all this internet culture, like what excites you the most as you think about, because you have a church yourself, what excites you as you're thinking about this kind of idea of a journey that people take?
Well, I think it's awesome that we actually are recognizing this, because I don't know about you, but like when I think of my spiritual ideal, where I want to be personally, I kind of think all the way up high of like, the most spiritual person I know. And often I think, oh man, how am I ever going to get to that point? I'm never going to be as kind, as loving, generous, spiritual. But when we're talking about journeys, we're not really talking about, okay, I'm going to achieve it today. It's about what steps are we going to be taking people on, and what steps am I going to be taking to get to that point? The longest journey starts with a single step. I think that's why it's so important.
That sounds very philosophical.
Yes, and stroke my beard.
We have a little animation just to illustrate this idea, because we're going to pop it on the screen, but it just helps us to think through what are those intentional steps that we want people to take when they come on our platforms. We'll cue that up, and then we'll have a chat about it when we come back.
Sweet. Let's check it out.
Is your church looking to be more intentional in the online space? Try creating an online journey. A journey asks and answers the question, what's next? So, they visited your website or watched your live stream? Great! What's next? We'll answer that question in 8 simple steps. The first step is discovery. Someone may find your church through a video. Now, keep the conversation going. The next step is passive participation. It's when someone reads your article or asks for prayer. However, we still don't know who they are. So, we ask them to sign up on email, text message, or social media so we can get to know them and what they're interested in. Next, we offer a small commitment. This may be a webinar, health program, or even a Bible study group. The best offer is aligned with their needs and not too long or overwhelming. Next, it's time to wow them. Do something unexpected and memorable, like a thanks for visiting phone call from the pastor, a card in the mail, or an invite to a meal. With time, you can encourage your visitor to make bigger commitments as appropriate, like watching a live stream with you, joining a Bible study, or even getting baptized. As they grow, they begin to actively participate and advocate. If asked, they may say something positive about your church or ministry, share a testimony, or even a social media post. Finally, your online visitor has transformed into someone actively involved and telling people about Jesus often, with no outside prompting. Remember, journeys are seldom quick, straight lines. We all wander and get turned around. The same can happen to your online visitor. So, make each experience memorable and compelling, and help them reconnect if necessary. Most importantly, be intentional in whatever you do online.
Whoa.
I love how that kind of breaks it down. What do you think?
Yeah, so good, so good. Again, it's with those small steps, hey, like getting people from one step to the next to the next, because ultimately it's life transformation, and only Jesus can do that. But we actually have an opportunity to get people, move them through those different steps. So cool.
and think through what that might look like.
Yep.
I think one of the first times that people encounter us, we have this opportunity to be hospitable, and we're actually going to have Steve Chan on from Kellyville Church to chat with us a little bit about the process that they use in their online hospitality. Welcome to Adventist Church Online Network, Steve.
Thanks, Rachel. Nice to be here.
How are you doing
Awesome.
today?
I'm doing really well. Actually, first time in a long time I've managed to escape Sydney, and I'm a little cottage tucked away in Berrima at the moment, and it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking this time out of your schedule to join us.
Very welcome.
Berrima is such a lovely place. That is, it's not too far from where I'm originally from in Robertson. So good choice.
Good pies from there too.
Oh, world famous pie shop.
Indeed.
Very good. Very good.
We were
so
excited.
Steve,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, all good. Steve, just wanted to ask, sort of introduce us to your online system, your hosting system. How does it all work?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. So obviously, we found ourselves in this COVID world where all of a sudden everything had to go digital, and we were given a space of about a week to try and come up with something there. But look, after a number of months now, we've kind of got it to two different platforms that we're using concurrently. We use the online church platform, and we also use Facebook to stream our services concurrently each Sabbath morning. And the hospitality side of things, what we've done, we've got a team of hospitality guests that we roster on each week, and their job primarily is to just try and create a live experience when we're streaming those services. So their job essentially, if people watching, they can interact on the chat, they can ask questions, they can request prayer. If they want to give their hearts to Jesus, then there's an opportunity to chat with one of our pastors or elders or prayer team, etc. Giving links, so when it comes time for the offering, they make sure they pop that up, and obviously they're chat moderators as well. But yeah, look, essentially the hospitality guys are there to just trying to create that live, engaged experience for our worshippers.
So when you say that they're moderators, like what kind of moderating are they doing on the conversation? Because we've had Rod on before, and he talked about the benefits of live versus recorded content. So I guess the church service is going, and then what kind of comments are coming in, and what kind of responses is your team like prepared to make to those comments?
Yeah. Thankfully, we haven't had to do any serious moderating, but I mean, it's always one of those things where you want to be prepared in case things go bad, and so all of our hosts have got the moderator permissions in the systems. So if there is an inappropriate comment that comes through or something, then they can very quickly remove that comment or try and direct it back to the conversation back to where it should be. But look, yeah, like I say, it's always engaging and positive so far, so it's always been a good experience. But look, one of the things that we do say to our hosts is, while we want to create community and engagement and a live experience, we also don't want it to be a distraction. So we go live with about 5 minutes actually 30 minutes, and this is really interesting. We're in a physical church environment, we struggle to get people there on time, but with our online stuff, 30 minutes beforehand, it's really interesting watching when our people actually join in, and they join in anything up to half an hour early, just so that they can have some conversation with people that they haven't seen face to face in a long time. And our hosts are to create that small talk, when you're standing around grabbing a coffee or something like that. How you going? How's your week been? Where are you joining us from? That kind of thing. But then as soon as the service starts, we try and encourage the guys, don't be a distraction. So just it's your job as a host to change the tone of that conversation and adds that a little bit of additional flavor and insight into what you're hearing from either the worship songs, or from the speaker, or from a passage or something that has spoken to your heart specifically. And so we try and encourage the host to set the tone for whatever is happening in the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you were saying like that 30 minutes earlier, people are coming 30 minutes earlier, and I guess that's possible because of the platform you're using, because you're using Church Online, the Church Online
That's
platform.
true.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
they're able to come in that bit
yeah,
early. So you, is part of the job of the host to come that bit early because you know that people are coming for that conversation? Because that's a different
yeah,
concept, I think, for
correct.
people to start that interaction engagement maybe earlier than the actual church service starts.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and yeah, I mean that is very true, and one of the things that we do train up the hosts with, we've got a guidelines document which I have shared with you guys actually. So if you want to pass that on and let other people who are interested to have a look, very happy to do that. But yeah, we do have a whole lot of prompts, etc., for the guys as they engage as well. So one of the things that we do find is, as an online host, you're watching a lot of different things. So you've got the host chat happening, you've got the public chat happening, you've got the Facebook chat happening, and so it can be really hard to try and keep tabs. Oh, and then you've also got, you know, people who might be trying to engage you for a private chat. You've got the pastor or the worship team pinging you on SMS, and you know, there's just so much going on. So it can be quite hard to make sure that you're staying on top of the conversation and the topics that's being broadcast, and then trying to engage them in small talk as well. But yeah, that early 30-minute space can be a great opportunity to just build the connections, knowing that things are about to get really crazy once the service starts.
Yeah,
So
I think this
just
has been. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking about okay, let's take what you guys have done, and obviously you've learned a lot through this process, and I'm sure are still learning all sorts of cool stuff throughout. But what advice would you give to just your average church, maybe a small to mid-sized church, if they want to actually start facilitating not just like a live stream, not just like content delivery, but like a really good hosting hospitality system online? Where would you tell them to start? What's the sort of stuff they need to keep in mind?
Yeah, one of the things that we learned after a little while was just talking about how distracting it can be with so much going on for the hosts. Is we started, because our services, Rachel, as you said, they're pre-recorded. So we started making the pre-recordings available just to the hosts. And we would say to them, guys, if you can get a chance to watch the service before we stream it, you'll be in a much better place to know when the key thoughts are coming up, and you'll be more able to make some insightful spiritual comments during the service. So that was a big one. If you're not pre-recording, see if you can get the pastor to give you the notes for the service for the day and just go through it so you know where he's going to take you. That could be something that I know we've certainly found very useful. And maybe another one, which is one that we picked up on as well, was to if you're identifying your hosts in the chat, watch your host to worshiper ratio. And one of the things that we learned very early, because we had quite a big team of hosts, was if you're not careful, you'll have 80% of the comments flowing through being hosts and 20% being worshippers. So we completely flipped that. It just doesn't look right, you know. So what we said was, hosts, if you're rostered, make sure that you're identified as a host, and we also say what team that you belong to. So if you're a part of the worship team or the hospitality team or the prayer team or the pastors team, elders team, whatever, you're identified. But if you aren't rostered, we get the guys to log in as incognito and just have your name. Steve, I'm a worshipper sitting in the pew, the virtual pew, just like the rest of you guys. And so we try and keep it at roughly 80% worshippers, 20% hosts making those comments, just to give a sense of, yeah, okay, this is a worship experience where the audience is really engaged as well. There's a couple of tips for you.
I'm just going to place on the screen this comment that we have from Lungani. He was saying he'd be grateful for a copy of the guideline if possible. And I heard you say, Steve, that you have made it available. So you're happy if we share it with people? Yeah, so that's a good starting point to see what Kellyville's already doing and see how it might work to implement in your local church. I think a big takeaway I've learned is the 30-minute before. I think that's a big, that's a little secret, I think, there, that people would probably get a lot more community going if they did that 30 minutes before. I think just this one last question I want to ask you is, we're talking today about journeys. So is there any like next step that you have? So the hosts are engaging during that, process, but what's the next step that you're guiding people onto after they're engaging in the live stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the course of the service, one thing that I asked the hosts to do, they've got about 6 or 7 tabs open on their browsers, and those are all about next steps and ensuring that we have a journey in place for our worshippers. And that's going to be things like if someone requests prayer, then you've got a prayer prompt sheet there to go. What do they want to be praying for? You've got an opportunity. Okay, they're struggling with loss of employment, health issues, relationship issues, whatever. You've got a short prayer and a Bible passage that you can share with them. The other one will be a Connect card. So if they fill in a Connect card, that will then say, I would love to join one of your Connect groups, a small group, I'd like Bible studies or like a pastoral visit or whatever. That then triggers a workflow in our back-end platform, and messages are sent off to the various ministry teams that they can then contact the people and know a little bit of background from the cards that they've filled in. Connect groups, obviously. So you've joined our live service, fantastic. After church, we've got our small Connect groups. We're going to talk about what you just heard in the service. Love for you to come and join us. And the other thing, probably prior to that, we've got Pastoral Care Ministries. So that might be a little scary, but Pastoral Care Ministries is all about a team of people just reaching out and connecting. Hey, we know that you joined our service. We're glad that you came along. Just wanted to reach out and say, hi, my name's Steve. I'm one of the pastoral care elders. And if there's anything you want to know about our church, etc., please feel free to reach out. And then likewise opportunities for one-on-one Bible studies with our pastoral team. So there's a number of steps that we make available to try and get people or give people a path or a journey as you guys are working on. I think it's really important to think through what that journey looks like for people joining us in the digital space.
Sorry, I was going to cut us off. We have one more question that people are really curious about what you're doing, and it's one of your church members actually, Candice, is saying, how do you overcome people's reticence to give their personal details? So do you encounter that people don't want to give out their personal details?
I think you have to respect that. And that's it's all about building trust. And we've had people that join us week after week after week, and I think they get to a point where they go, wow, this place does feel like a family, and I do feel like I want to connect with this community. And I think part of being in the digital space is all about just giving people that level of comfort and trust to, when you're ready. We're not here to try and trap you into anything, but if you would like to know more, you know where to find us.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate having you on. We'd love to continue to learn from you. You have so much knowledge to share. Once you hit the word workflow, I was like, oh, we've entered into another realm now.
Yeah.
This guy's a professional.
Oh, I don't know about that. We're all on a learning journey. We're having fun, and we just hope that, through what we do in this digital space, that, people can just find a connection with us and likewise find a connection with more importantly, a Savior that they may not have already met.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Enjoy yourself in your cottage. Thanks for taking a little break to join us on the broadcast.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. See ya. Ooh, that was a lot there.
Man, I wanted more. Yeah. I want to
we'll definitely have to find a way to learn more from Steve, because he had a lot to share with us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Love how connected everything was. It's so well thought through and integrated. Yeah, very cool.
Yes. Well, now we're going to hear from Micah Sampson. He's from PNG, and he's really casting a vision about what digital discipleship could look like in his local church. And we're kind of inspired by what he's talking about and inspired to see where maybe this can go. So love to hear what Micah Sampson has to say about this.
Hello, I am Micah Sampson from Papua New Guinea. If my local church was to implement a digital media ministry, firstly, it should just make use of the young people that it already has that are on social media and have a smartphone. Apart from that, we should make sure that those volunteers are willing to be taught, to learn on the job, and have a heart to reach out to communities through their own personal social media accounts. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to have an accountability system in place, and that is very important for reporting, as well as to make sure this initiative is operating for the long term. One of the greatest enemy that I see against this initiative is to leave volunteers to be left hanging, to not know who to report to not know how the church leadership feels about their efforts to go out to document stuff, to record an event, or to write what's all this, what's it gonna serve. They need to know this. We need to have a much closer communication with the church's leadership at different levels, to provide mentoring, to help the volunteers to be effective digital disciples, right? We need to know what not to post, how to create interest. It's not just about arguing about what day to worship or what food to eat, those kind of things. So we need to be mentored to be effective digital discipleship. We need to conduct a needs analysis. We need to know what is the most important need that they want to hear about. Okay, so this cuts out all the guesswork and not seeing the return of the content that the volunteers are putting out on their social media accounts, as well as the local church's Facebook page. And that is the greatest weakness for everyone who are wanting to go on social media, and especially for business, which I am involved in. That is the difference between a customer actually pulling out money to buy product, and if we do not, if a post does not resonate well, that's it. That is loss of business. Okay, so we need to be very efficient with our messaging on the social media platforms, as well as TV and radio. The last one is to have a retention plan for all of the people that we get to be interested. We need to be specific. We need to be intentional and not just say, oh no, we already have plans. Personal ministry would be responsible for that. Sabbath school, no, that is not on. We need to have a retention plan. We need to be intentional in keeping these people, be interested, and be present at the church.
Yeah, I've spoken with Mika, and he has a lot of passion for this area. Like, he works in digital marketing, and he sees so many opportunities for the church. So I think watch this space, and it'd be interesting to hear how his ideas develop.
Yeah, this is like, what an incredible vision. Yeah, so excited to see what could potentially come out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going from P&G, we're now going to TPUM, and we're going to be talking with Pete, who's a communication assistant there, and he's part of our team. And Pete's actually chatting with us a little bit about radio and the impact that radio is having. Welcome again, Pete.
Welcome. Hi there. Can you hear me?
We can hear
yes.
you.
Awesome. Welcome, mate. How are you?
I'm good.
You're looking quite spiffy in your church attire there.
Yeah.
I just came back from church on our Sabbath today, and we have two divine service at a time. So because of the gathering,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
one of the
what
things
was your question again?
well, we just wanted to chat with you a little bit about Hope Radio. So, if you can just explain a bit, I guess what we're talking about today is the journeys that people go on when they find us, that discovery process, all the way to, when they decide to make decisions. Can you just share with us a little bit about Hope Radio and how it works in TPUM?
I'll give you an example, like in TPM, for example, Kiribati, Kiribati Mission. They have radio stations, and mostly most of the households there, they don't have access to TV, and internet is not really it's not really a big thing there. So radio is the main thing, podcast radio. And what the church members do in order to incorporate with Hope Radio, the young people, especially the young people, were involved, and they visited households, about 5,000 households.
Whoa.
And Kiribati has about 200,000 population, and they managed to visit about 5,000 households, and they've given survey forms, and in that survey forms they're able to indicate how many people are listening to the Hope radio stations and how many people are in their household. And with that follow-up, they were able to conduct Bible study. About 60% of their household that visit were able to conduct Bible study. That's in Kiribati, and it's amazing on how.
You said 60%? Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing because most of the things that going on the radio stations are Bible prophecy, even COVID-19 awareness, even though there's no COVID-19 cases there, but they still have awareness cases going on the radio stations. And you could see how the church members are working together with the Hope Radio, and people are getting involved. And
that's
interesting.
That's a great point, Pete, because it sounds like the radio is only the first step. It sounds like if you didn't have the buy-in from local church members actually going out into those 5,000 households, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have the same results that you're having. How key has it been getting, like, mobilizing your church folk to get out there?
Yeah, in Kiribati, there's a majority. There are Catholics and LDS, Latter-day Saints, and you could see church members are involved in this, and they feel part of the mission when they are involved. And now people are getting Bible studies because of the sermons that are going on the radio stations, and even some of them are going on the radio station just to share things on the radio. And here in Fiji, there's that's in Kiribati alone.
Wow.
And another radio station here in Fiji, they've established something called Hope Ambassadors.
How does that work?
Yeah, Hope Ambassadors, we did a training here last year on equipping the local church members around Fiji. And for instance, if someone calls on radio and someone was listening on the radio and listening to a sermon, and he feels he needs some more questions or need Bible study, we have this more like agents that are located near around the Fiji, around the places like for example in the Western. And if someone listens to the radio from the Western, this Hope Ambassadors is located here, located next to the person who called, can actually go there and conduct the Bible study and can direct them to a local church near to him instead of the Hope going right there.
So it's like the radio station's broadcasting, but then they're working with local churches because, it's going out geographically so many places.
Yeah.
So then as people have interest, they're then including the local church to have that next step built into the process.
Yeah.
I know you telling me
they
before.
have an ID.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So they have an ID, Hope Ambassador. So when they visit their homes, they identify them as a Hope Ambassador, and which makes it more formal in a way. Yeah.
It's almost like a CIA agent. It's like they send out the call and then they activate the agent who then goes to the home. Yeah.
This sounds like a very Guy way of, like, we heard two different things. Like, you heard him and then I heard him and then you were like, yeah, and then the agent goes out and
that's great. That's great.
Pete, you said something really interesting to me before. You said that like in some, I don't remember where it was, but you said that it's the only Christian radio station. Was it in Fiji? And then like
Yeah,
on Sundays there's like Christian radio, but during the week it's the only Christian radio station playing.
yeah. Like here in Fiji, for example, Hope FM is the only Christian radio channel station, and the rest circular. There's other radio stations, but they are circular radio stations, but they only play gospel music and gospel and sermons only on Sundays.
Okay. So the other days of the week, Hope FM is the only one that's playing Christian content.
Hope FM
That's really
plays
interesting.
throughout 24 hours, 7 days a week. And also you can download an app if you don't have a radio. You just download an app called TuneIn Radio, and you're able to listen to Hope FM wherever around the world. You can be there in Australia, and you just download the app TuneIn Radio and go to Hope FM Fiji, and you're able to listen live the radio station that is going on here in Fiji.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I like that that kind of intentionality that they put into that process. So thanks for sharing that with us today. I see here we have a comment from AUC, and they're saying how awesome to have member involvement working with digital media. And I think it's great. Yeah, we love seeing that. So thanks for sharing with us today, Pete.
Thank you.
I'm actually wanting to just ask you all, as you're watching, what is your church doing? Like what process, what journey do you have going on? Let us know, chat with us on whatever page you're watching. If you're on our YouTube channel, you're on one of the union pages, just let us know what your church is doing. We might pop one of your comments on during that process. We might pop one of your comments on so that we can explore, so other people can learn from what you're doing as well. So yeah, we want to thank you for that. And actually, I think we have another story that's coming in from Fiji about how there's this kind of cooperation happening between church in Fiji. It's Navua. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, it's Navua. Yeah, Navua
so
Church.
There's some cooperation going on there between these two churches. So we're going to look next week as well we're talking about the journey this week with online visitors. Next week we'll talk a little bit about the journey with our members. So this kind of ties a little bit more in with members, but we also love the collaboration that's happening between our unions. So we just want to highlight that in this video with Navua Church.
Bulavilaka. I'm Asinate Tumbakimbao, and I'm a member of Navua Seventh-day Adventist Church. This Sabbath we'll be conducting a visual EY with a Granville Fijian Adventist. We have a former member of our church who is residing in Australia now with his family, Mr. Sevenai Wanga. Probably he's one of the church elders over there, and they extended an invitation for us to conduct an AY through Zoom. So we once participated and we took part during Hope at Home AY. And I think that's where we built our confidence that we once appeared on Hope at Home, and I believe we could also do it live on Zoom as well. For us, this is the first time for us to do this, first in the church also, and I believe we'll take this as a challenge, not only to do it once, but with the new normal we are going through right now. And I believe there are lots of churches in overseas too still on lockdown. They're worshiping in small groups, and I believe we'll continue to do this, not only for this Sabbath, but for other churches who are willing to invite us on live AY. Okay, my advice is sometimes you will try to reject the invitation, or you will think that you don't have ample equipment to equip your online AY. For us, we are not well equipped with in order for us to meet what to do for online AY, so like this, Zoom. So my advice is, take a step, just do it. Whatever equipment you have, probably a small cell phone or a small mini sound system, because right now we all have access to internet. So with that, we can do something. Like for us, when we got the invitation, we really didn't know what to do. So we ran around a little bit, but we prayed, and I think God has opened doors for us because God has opened ways for us in order to get this AY done online. Yes, and to all churches, if there's something to invest on, is invest on equipments for young people to go digital on local churches. Yes.
Yes, sister. I was the whole time nodding my head like, yes, speak that word.
Just do it.
She's saying like, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have the equipment. We were clueless, but we got the invitation. This made me excited. I don't know about anybody else, but I got so excited listening to this video because, they got the invitation. They didn't know what to do, but they figured it out. So
just took that leap of faith, and
yeah.
I think what is funny about this whole COVID situation is it's forced us to actually get out of our comfort zones and try things in ministry that we've never tried before. And I think God's just blessing that, whether it was for the right reasons or not. We kind of got forced to do it, but it's great anyway.
Yeah, but God's purposes are being fulfilled. I think one example we have of this is Melbourne City Church, and we're excited to have Jinha Kim on to talk because they've been doing stuff even before COVID happened. They've been quite active in the digital space. I think with digital discipleship, we've been following them for a little while with all the stuff they've been doing. Welcome to the show. We're very excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here and to hear the other stories. I'm learning a lot as well.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. I love how you're representing your church behind you. If you move over a little, we can get a little.
Yes,
we can.
And I'm trying to hide my kids. I'm in my kids' room, so I'm trying to hide the mess with the banner. But yeah, that's just the one that we put outside.
Yeah.
We used to have outside, and now it's in our home because we broadcast from our home now.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, it makes it more authentic with the kids' pictures there and everything.
And you might hear my kids crying in the background as well.
It's all church. It's all good.
Yes. We can you help us explore a little? I know you're on a lot of platforms, and I don't want people to feel like they have to be on all these platforms, but you guys obviously make it work. But just let us know, maybe give us a rundown of some of the places you guys are at in the digital space.
Sure. So like you mentioned, one of the first things we recognized, because we were a church plant, and so when we started this church in Melbourne CBD 7 years ago, we actually straight away said we need a website. We had like 7 people, but we were like, it doesn't matter, we're gonna make sure we have a good website. So that I think we started with a budget of $2,000, and we pretty much put almost a lot of it into the website because we recognized that's where people go first, these days to check out something. And so we made sure we had a great website, so melbournecityadventist.org. And then we started live streaming when we had probably like 10, 12 people in the audience. But we started live streaming straight away because we recognized the importance of offering people that digital space so that they can check it out and then have the courage to then come in person. And we
I love
wanted them
that.
to feel, we wanted people to know, okay, so this is what the church is about. This is what I can expect, because it gives them that user experience. And then it takes away a bit of the social anxiety so that they can step through the doors. And so before COVID, we would make sure that we always welcome those who are watching online when we were there in the building, saying, hope you can join us in person next time. And of course, now we always still invite people after the live stream. We actually now have a Zoom session, which we hope to continue even after we resume services in the building, so that people can still join us remotely.
Okay.
So we've
I
got
don't
the
want us
website,
to.
we've got the live stream. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna make mention of that because I don't know the last time I went to a restaurant before looking up their website. Like in terms of that journey, like when it comes to checking out a church, that can be a really, really daunting process for somebody who's far from God or so having that touch point is really clever. I love what you guys did there in actually providing that overview that is totally there's no sort of obligations or anything like that. Somebody could just jump in, have a look at the website and go, okay, I'm going to prepare myself for what this could be. All right, I think I'm good. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. It's on our website. We've got the YouTube videos linked directly onto it so that you can see, for example, this morning's sermon is already on the website. But we also have our Facebook site. Now on Facebook, once again, it's a public page, and so we want people to know what our church is like. So we have pictures, we have videos, we have content, and we advertise all our sermons through the event page. We also have a really great social media team that posts, quotes from the sermon, links to things. We also upload on our YouTube videos that we do during the week of Bible studies. And so we're kind of trying to utilize the website, the Facebook page, and also we do Instagram as well. But Instagram and Facebook are linked so that whatever we post on Instagram goes on Facebook. And that's more just kind of photos. But one thing we recently started doing that I'm really excited about is we're doing a series called Humans of MCAC. MCAC is what we call our Melbourne City Adventist Church. And we're doing Humans of MCAC for two reasons. One, I think it's really important to highlight individuals in the church because we don't always get to know what people are really thinking. And so I ask people, what are you passionate about? What are you dreaming about? What are your challenges? What's something that you really look forward to? And so teasing out a bit more of someone's story and putting it on that Facebook page so that one, it builds community within us. But also, once again, it gives people who are outside looking in, oh, these are the kind of people that I'm going to meet. And I can't wait to actually meet this person and get to ask questions about their dreams or, find out more about them. And so that's, again, another way that we're trying to let people know this is who we are and this is what we're about.
I know another thing, you seem to have social, because I know a lot of churches, they'll put the spiritual stuff, but I noticed you have social activities online as well. So that's that kind of other element where people can connect in a, like a softer touch point where they can kind of connect with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the social things you do online as well?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sorry, can I just ask you to speak up a tiny bit as well?
Yep. All right, maybe my hair is getting in the way of the speakers as well. Plus my little one is crying outside. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So my husband Roy is the other pastor of our church, but he's doing father duties at the moment. But so this actually came out of the first lockdown we've had in Melbourne. We were doing the Live More Happy program online, and that was really great. And we had Adventists as well as non-Adventists attending the Live More Happy program. And so while we were doing the Live More Happy program, we got to the week where it was talking about exercise, and one of the members was using Nike Run app, Nike Club Run app. And so we all said, oh, let's all do it. Let's do this challenge together. And so we did that just with that smaller group. And then we thought, oh, this would be actually great to do as a church community. And so we then, when we got into our second lockdown, we invited everyone to join us. And what was great about the Nike Run challenge, we were going to do 80 kilometers in 4 weeks. And what's great about that is that not only are we doing it, but it was easy to invite our friends and colleagues and people who are not related to church, because it's not a spiritual thing. It's just we're trying to be healthy. We're trying to keep active and sane during this time. And so that's been really great. I'm almost at 80. I'm at 67 or so. So hopefully I go for a while.
Well done.
You'll get there.
So those are a couple of things. We've also done online socials during this time as well. So through Zoom, we've been doing it kind of once a month or so. We'll do online Pictionary, online Taboo, different games. And so once again, something that isn't spiritual, but we're just connecting, just having fun, trying to connect and have fun together with people we've met a few people we didn't know before through it, and then they have since then translated into actually watching our service and joining us.
And do you all have this kind of intentionally mapped out? Obviously, you're on a lot of platforms, and I'm sure you've put a lot of thought into it, because from the beginning, even when you had 7 people, you knew that you needed a website. So I guess I'm hoping for another church that's watching, maybe they don't need to be on all the platforms you're on, but what advice would you give them about thinking through that when people meet you online all the way through taking them through a relationship? What advice might you give to them?
Hold on one second.
It's okay.
Bunny's not
We welcome kids on the broadcast. It's okay.
It's lovely.
this is my 4-year-old. Yeah, so sorry, can you ask that question one more time?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like if other churches are watching, how might you advise them to think through that process of a relationship? You know, from the time people meet you all the way to taking them into a deeper relationship online.
I think the important thing is to actually be to find out what your members are already doing, because I think if whoever's in charge of the program or the ministry, if they're trying to do it alone, it's really hard to get engagement and it doesn't really go anywhere. And so I think if you're interested in starting something in your church, find out what your church members are using. You know, that's how we went on the Nike Run app. You know, find out if they're on Facebook, if they're on Instagram, and if they're using it or what they're interested in, and then kind of go from there really, and just start building a small community from your church members and what they're interested in. And then because they're already doing that, it'll be a lot easier to build from that. So you don't have to do like 6 things at once. You know, we didn't start with everything, you know. We just started with a few things, and it's kind of built over time, and we're still building. There's still so much we haven't done.
That's awesome. So I'm just thinking around each different platform that you have. Do you have a generalized sort of next step that you want to help people make when they engage with a specific platform? How do you think around that?
Yep. So from our YouTube live stream, as well as our Bible studies and whatever we upload there, we always encourage from at the end, we'll have a little card, or we'll say during that video, please join us on Zoom, or jump on our Facebook site and message us. And on our website, we have, on our website and our Facebook, we have a link where people can sign up to our newsletter. We send out weekly newsletters, and on that newsletter, then there's a bit more content, as well as our personal phone numbers, and you know, we ask them to contact us if they have any prayer requests. And we have different databases of contacts, and even though we're a small church and we have about 86 people on our church contact list, we have 170 subscribers on our YouTube. We have 160 people on our newsletter. So there's more people who are watching or being ministered to because they're willing to then take that next step. Yeah.
What for you would be like the ideal from like somebody random off the street or going to your website for the first time to fully involved? What would be that the ultimate win for you guys?
Well, yeah, and this has happened to us where someone's gone on the website, checked it out a few times, listened to the sermons, and said, "Yep, I want to try out the community." Walk through the doors, and we've got a really great greeting team and system, so that as soon as they walk in, after they've been greeted, there's a QR code where they can immediately go on that QR code and ask them, you know, how can we minister to you? What are you interested in? We have these small groups, we have these things, and they can sign up, and hopefully that way we can get to know them. They get an email the week that they visited, saying thanks for visiting us, and again, do you want to sign up for our newsletter, etc. And then we try to follow up as well as pastors and leaders, saying, hey, you know, it was really great to see you. Do you have any questions? How can we continue to support you? And we also want to give people space. Like, we don't want to jump on people straight away. So we also let them just kind of come and go a few times as well before we start roping them in, you know, because we want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel like that's something that's really valuable to our church community, is just that respecting each other's boundaries, but also respecting that people need time to commit as well. And so we kind of let them know you're always welcome here, and these are the various ways you can connect with us. And so we give them a chance to kind of explore on their own, and then we'll, you know, follow up and see if they need help connecting in further ways.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm very inspired by what you're doing, and I think we would love to reconnect with you and just kind of understand more about your process. I think we see a lot of comments here. We see someone saying Melbourne City, wow, I'm going to put it on screen. Someone else is saying, go Pastor Kim. So I think a lot of people are being inspired by what you're sharing, and we want to thank you for being here with us on our broadcast today. We still have so much more we could learn from you. We're just a little bit short on time. But yeah, thank you for being here with us today.
And I just want to say one last thing, which is, you know, it would be impossible without a team of people. And we're really blessed to have a team of really committed people who make this all happen. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being here and taking the time. We really appreciate it. Whew, I learned so much from that. What about you?
Oh my goodness. So cool. So cool. And I'm feeling very selfish because I'm asking these questions and going, ooh, I'm going to take that for my
Are you
church. Oh, I'm
taking
going to take
notes?
that. Oh yeah. I love it. I love
So
it.
we go and check out, and see that process. I just want to let everyone know on the broadcast, if you've been listening and you're like, I saw someone ask, where's the video? Where can I put all that stuff together? How can I do this myself? If you go to AdventistChurchOnline.com, there is a sign up. If you're already on our mailing list, this will be sent out to you. If you're not on our mailing list, jump on the mailing list. We have a form that's blank that you can use to fill out to help you map out your church's process. We also have an example, and we'll be following up with some of our guests today to try to get a document of their processes. So we have something from Steve Chan as well. So hop on our mailing list so that you can have access to those resources. Join our Facebook groups, Digital Discipleship, as well as Adventist Church Online Network, and even ask at your local union Facebook page that you're on for those resources, and we'll make sure to get them to you. I think in our first or second week, someone asked about how we can keep people safe online. So we want to be responsive to some of the questions and comments you guys have. So we chatted with Risk Management Services, and they prepared some quick pointers about what we can do to stay safe online, keep our kids safe online. So we're going to cue that up and learn a little bit from Risk Management about, in all of this process, how can we be strategic about being safe as well. So
Thanks to the global pandemic, we've become a society of risk managers. Every day we're reminded of the hazards of coronavirus and what we can do to reduce our chances of infection. When it comes to online ministry in a COVID world, I'd say most of you watching this have encountered some of the common roadblocks and how to manage them. So for some, this video may be a refresher, while for others it may be the spark needed to ignite a conversation with your ministry teams and your church board. I want to start by asking you to think about your ministry goals and objectives. Do they involve live streaming your church services, getting your congregation back to worshipping in a building, or a combination of both in-person and online ministry? Today we're going to look at some of the hazards for digital ministry and protecting your online audiences to achieve your goals. I'm going to share with you a number of common threats to the safety and well-being of people engaging with your ministry online, as well as threats that could hamper your online presence. Firstly, what harm could happen to children or vulnerable people in your audience, particularly if the topic is serious in nature or distressing or triggering? What can you do to prevent or avoid harm? A possible control measure could be content warnings and content ratings. Secondly, do you seek permission from parents or guardians before filming or photographing children? Do you explain the purpose of filming children and where the footage would be used? While it may not seem harmful, any image that is made available on the internet could be misused. More advice about this can be sought from the team at AdSafe. Next up, we have the obvious hazard of Zoom bombing, but with the right control measures, such as utilizing the waiting room feature, not allowing screen sharing, using passwords, etc., you can reduce this risk significantly. The Digital Discipleship team have good resources and tips, including real-life examples for how local churches can handle the risk of Zoom bombing. Another potential cause of harm to people is found on social media. How do you manage cyberbullying, incivility, and inappropriate behaviour on social media? Control measures could include social media commenting policies and a willing team of volunteers to help manage comments on your social pages. Next, let's look at the likelihood of your website or account being hacked. Are you using trustworthy web hosting, live streaming platforms or apps? If not, data breaches and hacking may be a real risk for your ministry. Sometimes the cost of a reputable supplier seems prohibitive, but the cost of a data breach may be significantly greater. In Australia and New Zealand, there are laws regarding the collection of personal information and the reporting of a data breach. Does your ministry have a data collection policy that meets both local and international laws regarding the collection of personal information? Do you know what to do in the event of a data breach? The RMS website has more information about this. Finally, we need to mention that there is no insurance cover available that will respond to COVID infection. So please make sure that when you're out creating content for the Adventist Church that you keep yourself and others protected and ensure you follow local laws and health directives. So what I've just shown you are two basic elements of a risk assessment, describing the hazard and suggesting control measures. A risk assessment helps reduce the effect of uncertainty on your objectives and is a simple and effective outcome management tool. A risk assessment allows you to strategically plan for what you can do with the resources you have to ensure your goal is achievable and sustainable and still keep everyone safe and happy. It also gives comfort to your church board and could be used to address any reservations they may have about your activity. It could be the deciding factor in whether or not they approve your requests. A risk assessment form is available on the Risk Management Service website, which you are free to download. Remember, Risk Management Service is here to support and enable your ministry. So feel free to call us or email us if you have any questions about this presentation. Stay tuned for our next episode where we talk about the resilience and sustainability of your mission outcomes while balancing the return to in-person worship. Thanks for watching and take care.
I'm so glad there are people thinking about those things because I wouldn't have thought about them.
It's nice to know that you have an organization that behind your back when it comes to keeping safe online. It's very serious, but also very reassuring.
Yes, it is. So if you need those resources, they're available for you at RMS and AdSafe as well. They're organizations that we can lean on to help us they think about all of these things for us. But now we're going to have a little bit of a lighter note, and we're going to do a little bit of a quiz. How well do you know your internet culture? And we're going to do podcast versus podcast head-to-head of... you didn't know about this, did you?
This is completely unexpected.
Yes, we're going to invite two of our guests on. We're going to have a quick quiz. This is my husband, Peter Aitken. So I had to make sure that we were keeping Jesse honest. So I had to bring an outside source in. And we have Luke Ferrugia. So what are your podcasts, guys? Can you just tell us? Because we're going to do a podcast head-to-head battle here.
Sure. Okay, so mine is Oz Table Talk. So basically we have the conversations you wish you could have at church. So.
Okay.
And I'm Burn the Haystack with Joshua Stuthers, and we save the best and burn the rest. We burn things. So
everyone's favorite pyros. Yep.
Yes.
All right. I want a really clean quiz here, guys. So keep it above the belt. No burning anything. Okay, you ready?
Yes. Sir.
Rachel, you're going to keep score?
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me grab some paper. So what we're doing here is we're doing a little internet quiz. And the reason why we're doing this is because we find that sometimes people hop online and then they don't look native to the platforms at all. They kind of look like, when your dad goes on holiday and he has those like white socks on and those shorts, those khaki shorts and the binoculars and kind of the hat. Yeah, we don't want to look like the camera. Can't forget the camera around the neck. We don't want to look like that in the online space. We need to get kind of knowledgeable about internet culture. So let's go, guys. I'm keeping score here.
Okay, number one. In response to the success of TikTok, a major social media platform announced a new 15-second video format that allows users to add special effects. Who was it and what did they call it?
Ding! Instagram Reels?
Yes. That's one to Luke there.
I got it.
Okay.
A little bit louder,
who claims
Peter?
to be the front page of the internet?
Ding. Reddit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good work. Okay, name two social media companies which have been purchased by Facebook.
Ding.
Go.
Instagram, WhatsApp.
Done.
Yes.
Okay, now Spotify greatly impacted the way that we consume music. Which Christian artist had the most streamed song in 2019? Now, I've got options here because I can see you're confused. Was it Elevation Worship, Lauren Daigle, Hillsong United, or Corey Ashbury?
Ding.
Okay, if you get this wrong, you lose a point.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lauren Daigle.
Correct, and it was with You Say. Currently, it's nearly 250 million streams.
She won some awards for that, I believe.
Okay, now here's a good one because I know Jesse loves these. What does the word meme mean?
Ding. Let's say it's a visual reference to a visual joke about a cultural reference.
I'm going to award that. That's a good explanation.
Yeah.
It's an image of text is copied, shared, or often slightly varied. It actually derives from a Greek word, meme, which means something which is imitated. There you go.
Does anybody know who actually coined the term meme?
Yes,
I'm hoping you do. Okay.
It's Richard Dawkins.
I'm pretty sure it was Richard Dawkins, yeah.
It was. Okay, what year was the first iPhone released?
Ding.
Ding.
That's Jesse.
2007.
Good work. Okay, search engines. The biggest two search engines are Google and YouTube. Who's third?
Ding.
Go, Jesse.
Bing.
No.
Oh,
Luke.
Okay.
Would you like a shot?
I'm going to say. Oh.
Ask Jeeves.
Come on, man. Come on.
I was going to say it's not.
Don't. It's
I've
not
got a
what
feeling.
you think it is.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm sure it's not going to be what I think it is. So,
Maybe it is.
I'm
Just say what you think it is.
Okay,
Just say
DuckDuckGo.
No, it's Amazon. There you go.
Interesting.
Lots of different ways that people are searching nowadays.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah.
Yeah. Millennials were the first generation to grow up with easy access to online gaming. Okay, huge community opportunity here. Projections have the industry revenue at $200 billion in 2022. And there's just this enormous community of online gamers. So to date, which franchise has the highest revenue? Call of Duty, Mario, Pokemon, or FIFA?
Ding.
Ding.
Jesse?
I think it's Pokemon.
No.
Okay.
Luke?
Call of Duty?
No, it's Mario, guys. Come on, it's been around forever.
Ooh.
That's true. Been around a lot longer. Yeah.
Mario Brothers.
Okay.
There we go. Who's the winner, Rachel?
Oh.
It's got to be him.
No one got the last two, right? Is that correct?
No one got the last two.
No.
So we have Luke at 2. This is no reflection on your podcast. Okay? Luke at 2.
What is it?
Soften the
And
blow.
Jesse at 4.
Okay.
So hopefully
Jesse
we can
takes
have
it.
a
I did
a
not like the
re-challenge.
questions.
Good game,
What'd you say?
Jesse.
GG.
Yeah. So how many did you guys get right? Let us know in the comments wherever you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube or any of our Facebook channels, we'd love to hear how you guys did. Now, we're running short on time, but I'd love for you guys just to give one quick point on how you think churches might be able to use podcasting in that kind of discovery phase, anywhere in that journey as we look at it. What opportunities do you see there for podcasting for churches?
Luke?
Sure, I think there's two opportunities, and it depends whether you are trying to attract a geographically close audience to meet with them personally or broader than that. But if you're looking to do close by, you could utilize podcasts to, yes, share things from your church, content from that way, but also interview people from your local area about spiritual things and build a local following that way is one thing.
That's interesting.
Mm.
What do you think, Jesse?
I think mine is similar to that. Rachel and I have talked about this a little bit, and I'm kind of conflicted in a way because I love being able to put your sermons online, but I feel like a lot of churches just kind of go, oh yeah, we'll just plop them online, and then people can listen to them, and then I don't know. I think there might be some diminishing returns for every church to do that, not to lessen the preaching of the word, but there's so much local contextuality that you have to think about when it comes to a local community. I think Avondale College Church does a really good job with this, with the link. It's the most random, fun podcast, but they have this great spiritual lesson in there. And I think pretty close to what Luke was saying, there's really great character and really great personality that your local church can deliver without just doing what everybody thinks you should do, just putting the sermon online. I think there's a lot more creativity around that we can embrace.
Well, if your church is looking for something they can do, maybe consider podcasts, maybe live streaming. If you look at the skills that you have in your church, you might think about what is it that our church can do? What are we specifically gifted to do? And if you have any questions about either of those, either podcasting or even live streaming, the next two videos are just going to give you a little how-to on what to do. Then we're going to come back and we're going to be chatting with Esther Sean, checking to see how her church is doing. And then we're going to tell you about the workshops that we're offering you for today. So stay tuned for the next few videos and when we come back with Esther Sean. Thanks, Luke, for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. See you guys.
See you.
So, you want to start a podcast, but you have no idea what gear you need to get and how much money you're going to have to spend. Well, good news. I'm here to help you start a podcast, get the gear that you need with as little money as possible. This is a Behringer XM8500. It is tough as nails. It is an all metal construction. It is heavy, so it's quality. It's not going to break on you. And guess what? It is 40, 50 bucks. This is one of the cheapest things that you can buy. You might be tempted to buy a USB microphone to start out with. Don't do it. I'm telling you right now, you could go and buy yourself a Blue Yeti or a Rode NT USB or any of those entry-level microphones. You don't want them, you don't need them. And I'll explain why when I talk to you about audio interfaces in just a minute. Of course, you're also going to need a cable, and you're going to need something to connect all of this stuff to your computer. So let's cut to other Jesse, and he's going to show you exactly what you're going to need to do that. Right, this is a USB audio interface. It allows you to take an XLR cable, which plugs directly into your microphone, and it allows you to send that signal through this into your computer or your laptop or whatever. Now, you might think a USB microphone would be a lot more straightforward. After all you need is the microphone itself, and you can plug it straight into your computer. The reason I would not recommend that is pretty simple. Let's say you get yourself a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. It's an audio interface that allows you to plug in two of these bad boys into it, which means that when you run these two bad boys into your computer, you're going to have two inputs that you can work with. And you might think, well, I'll just buy two USB microphones, I'll plug them into my computer, happy days. Well, actually, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You see, when you convert an XLR signal into USB, you need something in the middle to make them all talk together effectively. And if you try and plug two USB microphones into the same computer, you're going to have to jump through amazing software hoops in order to make it all work together, which is why I wouldn't recommend buying a Blue Yeti microphone or a Rode NT USB. Sure, they might do the job, at least at first, but as soon as you start to introduce more microphones into the mix, you get more guests on, maybe you get a co-host, you're going to have all sorts of issues, which is why I recommend something like this to start out with. But if you want to get your podcast out to as many people as possible, you're not just going to need hardware, you're going to need some software. The first thing, obviously, that you're going to need is something to edit your podcast with. Now, luckily, there are some great free options out there. You can use Audacity, which is free on Windows, or you can use GarageBand, which is free on Macs. Either of those will be great. Take some time to learn to use them, look up some YouTube videos. You don't have to spend any money on software to edit your podcast, at least at first. If you want to upgrade from there, I would recommend either Adobe Audition or Logic, or really any good DAW, digital audio workstation that you like the look of and that you can afford. The second thing you're going to need is a podcast host. Now, if you want to put your podcast out there for free, you can go for something like Anchor, or you can go for something like SoundCloud. Those two options will allow you to publish your podcast and get it out to some people for free. You might also consider using YouTube because you could just simply upload your podcast with a static image, or if you want to record on Zoom or something like that, you can do that, upload it to YouTube, happy days. But if you want to get your podcast on things like Stitcher, on things like iTunes, on Google Podcasts, and any of the other apps that people use nowadays to listen to their podcasts, you're going to have to pay for a podcast host. If you've ever built a website, it's like a web host, but you're basically paying somebody to host your podcast on their servers. So I would recommend something like Podbean, Megaphone, Libsyn. There are a whole bunch of options out there, some more expensive, some cheaper, some have free plans, some have paid plans that you can upgrade later on. Really, there's no wrong answer. As long as you stick with some of the more well-known ones that have great customer support and that are affordable, you really can't go wrong. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me, burnthehaystack.org. You can send me an email, ask me any questions you want about starting your own podcast, or you can just find me on Instagram at Jesse Herford. Cheers.
Hi guys, my name's Bryce Depler. I'm from Springwood Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Brisbane. A few people have asked about our live streaming setup, so I thought I'd take you through it. This is our media section here at Springwood. So we've got the video section, which we do the live stream and the video for the screens. You got the sound and the presentation computer. We're running Easy Worship for the presentation software. Works really well for us. Never had any problems. We always used it. We run 2 outputs from that. We run the main output and we run the alpha channel back into the production studio, which is behind me at the moment. We run Canon G series cameras here, just to try and keep everything the same. This is our main camera, Canon G50. A wide camera, Canon G30 for this one. We've got a secondary camera down there, which is another Canon G30, which we can place around the auditorium. We use a couple of GoPros, sometimes one on the piano over there and one on the drums if we need to, if they're being used. We've also got this Canon R806, which we put on a head, a pan tilt head, and that works really well. This is the backbone of the system. All the equipment here basically sits at the back. Blackmagic Production Studio is the main guts of the system. 8 inputs, 1 output, 1 auxiliary output. Brilliant, works great. That's fed back to the house and also split off everywhere. And that runs into our encoder box, which is a Matrox Monarch HDX twin encoders here. So we've got one encoder which runs the live stream that goes off to Restream, and that's sent out to our channels, YouTube and Facebook channels, and also onto our website. The red button there is the live recording. So plug in a USB, hit the red button, record the service. This black box here is also a secondary recorder as a backup, just in case. Lenovo ThinkPad, this mini PC just runs the Blackmagic software, and that's all it does. We've got an Australian monitor rack mount mixer down here, line in from the house feed. We've got a couple of other mic inputs there for ambient mics. If this system's not here, I will run them in there. We run an ambient mic through the mixer for the live stream only, and that really helps keep the sound of the live stream, making it sound like you're actually in the room. Another drawer here for those people who are wondering what's in the drawer. Keyboard, pens, another spare converters, wireless cables and bits and pieces, and whatnot. I hope that helped someone or some people. If you have any questions, I'm sure I'm down here at the moment or over here, depending on what platform you're on. Just feel free to ping me and ask anything that you need to know. Hope that helped. Thanks. Bye.
Whoa.
You're some very techie people there.
Look, I had a $40 microphone and his kit is like, I don't know, like I'm pretty jealous right now.
Do not covet.
Oh, yes. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, God.
I want to just let people know, like, if you have questions, so you watched about the live streaming, you saw the bit about podcasting. We don't have anything on that today, but if you're interested in podcasting, let us know in the comment section and maybe we can do something in the future. We'll see what the demand is for that. But for today's workshops, we do have one on, there's a French workshop, a workshop in French about how to deal with burnout, which is something we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago. On your digital team and tech updates. So if you'd like to participate in that, setting up your church's online hospitality system. We'll be going through some of the notes that Steve shared with us. Mapping out your church's online journey for members and visitors. So I have a kind of a form that you can go through to think about that, start thinking through it. And the last one is how to set up your church's live stream ministry from scratch. So if those are workshops you're interested in, I think that they're posted on the different unions pages. I know that Vi was posting them in the groups as well. So start thinking about what you'd like to do, and it's going to be straight after this. I think we'll give a gap of about maybe 5 or 10 minutes before we get started. I think someone was asking Jesse about the mic you were using. I saw that there were some comments about that. And I see that
Yes.
you posted in there. I'll just post a
That's
comment. It was just saying, can you tell us the brand?
Yeah. Yep. So that's the Behringer XM8500. There are a bunch of different microphones around that price point, but one thing I always tell people, especially when they're starting out, is you don't have to spend a lot of money to get good sound. So some of those cheaper microphones really do a great job.
Mm. Yeah, it's good to have someone just cut through all that stuff and help us to understand because, you get online and it gets quite confusing.
Oh, yeah.
We want to bring in a real life person who's doing this. So we talk a lot about the theory, but we're going to bring in Esther Sean. She's been a constant for us over these past few weeks. And she's actually sacrificed to be here with us today. I know that you're out camping today, aren't you, Esther Sean?
Yeah, we're on the road. The youth have gone away for the weekend, so we're having fun in Rotorua.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you for joining us and for sacrificing like that.
It's a pleasure to be on the call.
Someone was asking if you're going to play your harp today. So clearly you're in a car, so you're not going to be playing your harp today. We'll have to save that for next week. But I just wanted to know, we'll just keep you just for a few minutes because we can see you're in your car. Can you just share with us what's happened in the last week since we saw you? I know that your team started using the content calendar that you created. How's that going for you all?
Yeah, so it went well this week. So everybody did their jobs, which was great. And so we had a bit more content going out on the page. There was a comment that came back saying, oh, we're only reaching so many people. And I said, well, this is great because this is the need that we need to get the church involved to help get their content out there, because there's not that many people who are regularly following the page. But I'm sure that will pick up as we start getting more regular with what we're sharing and as we start to roll out the challenge for the church members to get involved. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yes. So Esther Sean has kind of mentioned a challenge, so that's just kind of to pique your interest. But next week we're going to be introducing this digital discipleship challenge that Esther Sean will be launching at her church, and it's something that you can do with your church as well if you're looking for something you can do. So in this upcoming week, Esther Sean, we're just going to start talking through the journey. So you and I will chat about that, and then we'll be able to share with people next week about what we're doing with that.
Sounds good.
Sweet. And how are people going with it? Is your team excited to be posting the content and going through the plan?
Yeah, so we had a meeting last Sabbath and they were excited about having it laid out nice and clearly. What's expected? What are we trying to achieve? What content do we have? Because when you brainstorm and you put it together, it's like, actually, we do have a lot to share. It's not just trying to pull it out of your head. It's actually all there in front of you, and we've put together links where if we're feeling like we don't have content to generate, links where we can go and find some inspiration and different resources. So it worked this week, so let's hope it continues, and we'll hopefully pick up a bit more momentum and get the church involved, and that would be helpful for getting that information further than just the page.
Awesome.
So that's an appeal to your church members. Please get involved. If you've heard us here on the broadcast, Esther Sean is making a plea to you to get involved. So hopefully we'll have more of a plan to help get them involved for next week and not just pleading on the broadcast. But we want to thank you for joining us. And we're going to pop on our weekly Imagine video, which helps us just to think about what could be that next step, because we know in the whole process we need to have a vision. So this Imagine video is going to help us think what is possible here in the digital space. Thanks for being with us today, Esther Sean. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Imagine a tropical beach. Imagine the holiday of a lifetime. Imagine seeing those sights you've always wanted to see. Hey, imagine a world without travel restrictions. Imagine a world with open borders. Imagine a world where you could come and go as you please, simply because you wanted to. Let me ask you a question. Where would you go And why would you go? For every great trip, it starts with a destination in mind. It starts with a vision. It starts with a goal. But if you want that holiday, that trip, that journey to come to life, you have to have more than a great goal, more than an ambition. You have to have an action plan. Now here's the thing. In the Bible, God has given us His end goal. He has given us this grand picture that you and I, the family of God, are on a journey somewhere. And that final destination, the arrival point, is none other than the glorious kingdom of God and face to face with Jesus. He's instructed you and I to get out there and invite as many as who will listen to come into that journey. We know the destination, we know the journey. But today we live in a digital age. Have you ever stopped to think that the internet presents an interesting opportunity for a time like this and for the gospel of Jesus Christ? Isn't it amazing to think that in this world we can go anywhere, we can see just about anything through the screen of our computer connected to the internet? We might even refer to the internet as our gateway to the world. Hey, have you thought about this? Even more than you traveling places to see the world, what about the fact that you and I can influence a worldwide population through the internet? By simply broadcasting out of your garage or by recording in your home studio, you can have a voice that influences the world population. But think about this. In the digital age, you and I need more than simply an end destination in mind. We need more than the big picture of where we're going. We need to be able to take people along on the journey of a lifetime toward that end destination. Just like when people walk through the front doors of your church, there is a process, there is a journey that you invite them into with you as you head towards the kingdom of God. So too, when you meet people in the online space, when your church steps out to share the gospel of Jesus Christ in the digital space, you need to have more than a grand end goal in mind, a final destination. You need to have an action plan of how you will invite these individuals to share the journey with you, to come along, not only for the final destination, but for the everyday journey, step by step, into that final kingdom. So, I want you to imagine with me a world filled with congregations and churches that are intentional, congregations and churches that are deliberate in taking people on a journey, not merely informing them of a great invitation and a great final destination, but using the digital online space to actually intentionally journey with people together towards the final destination. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine how effective the church might be for the kingdom of God if we did more than simply put a message out there, if we used the resource of the internet, the gateway to the world, to plan a journey to go on with these individuals? Can you imagine this?
Whoa.
Adrian's always challenging us every week to push that little bit further. I love it.
I'm inspired. I'm inspired. I'm ready to get out there, Rachel. I want to go on.
Yes.
I want to go on a
You want to
great
get off the
journey.
broadcast now? Is that what you're saying? You want to get off the broadcast now? You're that inspired?
That inspired.
Well, before we go, we want to remind you about what the workshops are. We have a French workshop. It's how to deal with burnout on your digital team and tech updates. If you're interested in that, comment wherever you're watching. If you're on, obviously, if you're live, if we're not live, then no workshops. But if you're live with us now, the French workshop, how to deal with burnout on your digital team and tech updates. The other one is setting up your church's online hospitality system, mapping out your church's online journey for members and visitors. And the last one is how to start your church's live stream ministry from scratch. So comment. You should also see on your Facebook pages as well as the YouTube channel the links to join us. And yeah, I'm delighted every week to be here with you on the broadcast.
Beautiful, as am I. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in and for journeying with us through this broadcast this afternoon. And enjoy your workshops.
Yes, looking forward to seeing you there. Bye.